Well, hello, free people of the Rocky Mountain region. This is Brandon from Free State, Colorado. Today, we're joined by Natalie Menten, one of Colorado's liberty leaders and political expert. I'm really excited, Natalie. You know so much about the Taxpayers Bill of Rights, Tabor, and there's been a lot of controversy, I'd say, in the news. There's a lot of confusion, I think, about our Tabor refunds this year. There's been some news articles, some conversations I've had, and people just don't know what to make of our Taxpayer Bill of Rights refunds. So, really interested and excited to hear about our Tabor refunds. So, Natalie, what do we need to know?
Okay, so hoping to wrap this into a package that's tight, condensed, and gets you to knowing what part of the refunds you're getting and how to get them in a real short amount of time here. So, claiming your Tabor refund in minutes. This is for the first of all, fiscal year 23 through 24. So, the one that just ended for the state. Um, we've got $1.36 billion coming back to taxpayers thanks to our Taxpayers Bill of Rights for that fiscal period. And why is it 23 to 24? Real quick, it's because state budget goes from July 1 of a year through June 30 of the next year. That's why you have 2 years. For many people are used to January through December. Let's clear that up so it makes sense going forward. We got 1.36 billion for the year that just ended June 30th of 2024. After they go through auditing, look at the figures, they come up with the amount. We got 1.36 billion. That is money then that gets refunded to us here in 2025. So that's why there's a delay. All right, wanted to explain that. Now, here's the deal. You may have heard also in some of these news reports, a little bit doesn't give you the robust, full information you need. It says these Tabor rebates will be less than in prior years. And it kind of gives some reasons, but doesn't explain what largely occurred. What largely occurred is the Democrat politicians in 2024 basically cheated taxpayers out of a large portion of Tabor refunds. So when it says 1.36 billion we're getting back, we should have been getting more back, like 1.8, 1.9, 2 billion. So this has been reduced substantially. So when they say they're not keeping money, blah, 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 they are. Anyway, this chart here kind of reflects it. You can see before that, these are out of the economic forecast. Don't need to go into that too much. Basically, folks, I'm not going to throw you a bunch of numbers. Just look at these pictures here. This was on the left before the theft occurred in the legislative session. You see the chunks of blue there. That's what we'd be getting back in Tabor refunds had this not occurred. If you look over on the right side now, you're going to see how much smaller those blue pieces are. This big picture. That's how much our Tabor refunds were sifted away through a mechanism that should not be at all legal, should be challenged. And so far we haven't done that, but da da da. So now moving on to the next one here. We've got the categories. So starting with, we got again $1.36 billion going to taxpayers. How is it going back to taxpayers? In what way? A lot of people are familiar with their Tabor refund coming back to them in a check. They physically get it in the mail. Has been an experience they've had. Getting it back on their income tax return is another mechanism. But reality is Tabor is benefiting everybody in more ways than they widely know. First of all, we've got the senior disabled Gold Star homestead property tax reduction. People get that, but they don't understand the tie to connection to Tabor. So for seniors, I can say somewhere in my notes, I was trying to find this before we got together tonight. I think I saw that the average amount that equates to as to a taxpayer, what does it mean to them in their pocket, right? That senior property tax exemption is roughly an average of around $500. So somebody right there, thanks to Tabor. If you're included in that, $500 you got from your Tabor. Next way you're benefiting, again from Tabor here right now, is the state income tax rate has been reduced. Now you hear about little cuts there, here, and in different ways, but thanks to Tabor, for this year on our income taxes, the income tax rate reduced to 4.25% from 4.4%. So it's something somebody's not going to see necessarily like that check in the mailbox or checked off, even you'll see in the income tax form we'll show here in a minute. But it's another benefit of Tabor. So folks, again, all these reasons to share with your neighbors, TABOR is more than you know. Now, here's the one where it became controversial. There was a news report on, I won't name to name the station, but let's just say the reporter did not understand a lot of parts of TABOR. And frankly, there's probably a lot of people that don't. So I'm not going to like point the finger, but let's say the news report left a lot to be desired, and I think created confusion because I've heard it from various people. I've got to opt in all of a sudden. I've got to opt in all of a sudden. Well, actually, that's been the case. That's the way we'd actually probably want this. Otherwise, what are we doing? We're just giving out blanket checks to everybody who came here. For all I know, that's one of the tens of thousands of people that, you know, uh, came from here recent newcomers, all right? And you're giving everybody a check. That's not the way this is TABOR's meant to be. You should be saying, I'm a taxpayer. But the one that the news report was referencing is another category of TABOR refunds. Most people don't know about what this is called, but it's called the 6-tier sales tax refund. You're going to see it on the income tax form. So we're going to cover that in a minute. I won't go into it more for a sec. Big picture again, here are 3 ways that taxpayers saw TABOR benefits within a short amount of time. One, they've heard about the news. They haven't heard about the income tax rate reduction. I can tell you, I mean, that's news stations aren't covering that. And then people do know about the property tax reduction, but it's a certain group of people who only get that, not everybody. Anyway, here's TABOR and all of its benefits. And I want to point out, as the note here says, I did not size these pie pieces relative to what portion they are. This is mainly showing here's the categories, and folks recognize TABOR protects us in so many different ways. People just don't know all the ways they're put into that beautiful little thing. So moving on. All right. What you need to do. Sorry, I know I'm rambling here. For this homestead senior property tax exemption, including the disabled and the gold star, which have been added on recently. But that needs to be applied by July 1st for the following year's tax bill. And there are certain qualifications. There's age 65. At certain points, there would be residency requirements. That's now changing, but we're not quite there yet. So you'll need to research more. But to apply for this next year's tax bill, got to apply by July 1 of this year, 2025. And go research it. You'll find plenty of info. Your county assessor, property tax division, probably has something on their website if they're a larger county, and it'll explain the process, what you need to do. So even though you missed this year, think forward, and maybe you're not even quite eligible, but then think ahead. Next, how are you going to take advantage of the 6-tier sales tax refund that I mentioned? First of all, that's going to be on the 2024 Colorado income tax form. Now, note, even if you don't have a tax liability, so you don't have income tax, you wouldn't have to file your income tax form. You still benefit from the 6-tier sales tax refund. The theory being, the state of Colorado collects sales tax. So it goes into that kitty, that pool of money. Refunding that money is called 6-tier sales tax refund. It's based upon income, but that's kind of the assumption that if you have this amount of income, you're going to spend this much on buyable goods and pay that much sales tax. So let's say you're a home, you're a mother, take care of the kids. You don't have a 1099 or W-2 type of job. You still, as a sales tax refund, would qualify. And so you do have to have a tax identification number to file this. Again, on the 2024 income tax form, 104 is what it is. Again, 104. Now, the income, again, what do you need to do? Well, the income tax rate reduction, you don't have to do anything. If you're filing Colorado income taxes, the lower rate is built into it. So the income tax form is shown there in that hyperlink. And if the news report just as of like 2 days ago said the income tax form is not available, but after I heard that report on the news, I was like, boy, there's going to be a lot of people not happy about hearing this news report because it's got these holes and gaps and doesn't have clarity. And so I went and looked up the form right away. The instructions are available. Matter of fact, the date on it shows, it looks like it wasn't a brand new form. So the report, they even had a Department of Revenue person speaking about this whole thing with the TABOR refund. And I wonder if it was like recorded like weeks ago or something. I don't know. It didn't even make sense listening to the recording because it seemed very clear and able to be, I could find it, no problem. So now I'm going to go to where is this thing you've got to opt into on Form 104 to get your 6-tier sales tax refund. It's on, it might be page 2. I don't know. It's not page 1, that's for sure. But you're going to see this thing that we've actually seen before in prior tax filing years, because the 6-tier sales tax refund is not a new thing. And if you get to line 35 here, you're going to see it's got this simple to read chart. It says use the income tax line from up above, basically. Find yourself on that chart and enter that amount on line 35. You're going to see here single filers. Again, let's say it's a range of incomes basing upon the 6 tiers. So if you're in the lowest category, 53,000 or less, for a single filer, you've got $177 that you're going to be putting into slot 35. Then joint filers, you'll see, I'm not going to go into all of the details there, but it's not buried. It's not hard to find. It's actually nothing new that I've seen from prior years. It's laid out. It was easy to find. I just can't stop saying that enough. And again, even if you wouldn't normally file an income tax return, you're still filing this return here, but you're going to be entering under income 000 or whatever your thing. I'm not don't know what they're doing, but you look for this section and you're going to fill this out, and it would not be something new for them to see somebody in that case. You've got retirees, the income's exempt, there are a variety of different things. These would all fall under those categories. Consult a tax professional or look it up yourself. There's my disclaimer. Okay, so takeaway. Started with TABOR refunds. First of all, when they talk about, oh, they're lower than prior years, that's what they want to do, by the way, is they're going to whittle it down to where all of a sudden it's only like $3. Why are you going to keep it? And they want everybody to give away, and we'll never want to do that. But TABOR refunds were substantially reduced to something that wasn't approved by voters, called House Bill 24-1311. It was crafted by a TABOR-hating non-governmental organization, an NGO. I'm not going to give them name. I'll spit if I have to do it. The TABOR refund is completely different, by the way, from the property tax, rent, and heat tax credit. There's confusion year after that, and it's called the PTC credit. That is something that there's different qualifications. There, you don't actually even have to have a tax ID number to get it. And it's those categories. So I'm going to leave it at that. To when there's confusion out there, part of the time is because of that. Don't miss the deadlines for your TABOR refunds. You've got normal filing date, April 15, 2025, filing for your 2024 tax period. If you file an extension by then you've got till October 15, 2025. But to grab this TABOR end of it, you need to have filed that extension. So even if you don't have the taxable income, so just keep in mind deadlines are really important. And again, take away 6-tier sales tax refund that people are talking about is not the only benefit of this, our beautiful TABOR. The income tax rate is reduced thanks to TABOR. That wouldn't have happened down at that gold dump. The homestead property tax reduction thanks to TABOR. So more TABOR money in your pocket through a variety of ways. Some you see directly and some it's more indirectly. But it's keeping money in your pocket or putting more back in. And they're going to keep hammering at this because they continue to talk down there how they have a billions of hundreds of billions deficit down there. And then they don't look in the mirror and go, oh, you spent all this money on stuff you shouldn't have. And now you're crying. You want the voters to somehow give up all their TABOR refunds? No. So I guess that's the end of the slides here.
Great information, Natalie. Really appreciate it. So really, it's just file your taxes like normal, and that's how you get your TABOR money back, your TABOR refund. So it's
Yes.
not necessarily anything different, anything new. Maybe I think some of the confusion might be is the last couple years, maybe since COVID, I think it was that they've been doing the flat refund. So everybody across Colorado got the same amount, regardless of their income level. And now this has reverted back to those kind of pre-COVID, pre-manipulating the TABOR refund distribution back to a more fair system in which, hey, you've spent more money, you probably deserve to get more of that money back, right?
Well, it goes, there's variety of ways, and it's the confusion out there, I agree, is partly because of the change due to Polis. You want to use it as a campaign piece, basically. And on taxpayers' dime, instead of dealing with it with the income tax form, he wanted to give it out early and put his name on a letter that went out first class mail to everybody. So yeah, they created some confusion. And I imagine, frankly, the Department of Revenue after that news report that just left so many questions, but cause for concern for probably people. They're like, "What do you mean I got to opt in? What am I going to do?" And a variety of phone calls to the Colorado Department of Revenue going into January. The forms aren't ready and things like that. So it was just again really puzzling seeing that news report. And I thought, well, better slam together some slides pretty quick and just kind of throw this stuff out there, especially not forgetting we would have been getting a whole bunch more. So when people say, oh, it's only because there will be some people, they'll go, oh, it's only $177. And then, meanwhile, I'm watching people on Nextdoor who are having problems with the vehicle because they are only keeping, enough gas in their car to get them 10 miles because that's all they can afford. So when that's at $177, that's it's important to them. So, because there's what 15%, 12% of the population out there that insists Tabor is the end of the world. And all of our woes are to this law in the books for 30 years that have put so much protection into taxpayers' hands and pockets.
Oh, it's amazing. Tabor is great, and I really appreciate you getting the word out here about how valuable it is. Just want to highlight that last little second to last bullet point for people there that obviously we get our Tabor refund back, like you said, but I think it's so important. People really need to understand that you're paying less income tax. That's more money in your wallet. You earned more money this year. You got to keep more of the money you earned at the very least, thanks to Tabor. So people need to recognize that. Like you said, times are tough for so many people. And then a lot of people, the seniors or veterans or people who are in kind of some of those dire straits, are getting this homestead property tax reduction, saving on their property taxes. So Tabor's doing an incredible job of giving people more of their own money back and constraining the government's ability to keep taking. So really appreciate you putting this together, Natalie, getting this out there. And the big takeaway for people too is, hey, just fill out your tax refund, your tax reforms like normal, your state tax form like normal, and you'll get your Tabor refund back. That's really all you got to do. Nothing too crazy about it, but thank you, Natalie, for getting this out there and helping to alleviate a lot of that confusion.
You're welcome and glad to do it. And I got to say, thanks to, Douglas Bruce is the one that knew in Tabor to be all sorts of little ways to get away around things. And it's so much wrapped good into the constitutional amendment we have that, he really did foresee a lot of the things government tried to continue to take from us. And Tabor is such a blessing. So that's what I got to say about that.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it. I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Okay, thanks.